All right, so again, welcome. Tuesday night, 8 to 9 p.m., Math 123, Section 04D. And today is March 26th, and we are checking out Section 12, which is about retirement and savings plans. And so let me just remind you real quick of what is due. So we have web work 10 and 11 and the Excel credit cards assignment due tomorrow. And then today's assignments include web work number 12, discussion board 5, and quiz 5. And then we're going to look at the Section 12 retirement and savings plans, and then also we'll dig into project 2 a little bit here, okay? Well, that's where we're headed today. And Section 12 starts on page 149 and ends on page 155, and it's relatively short. And so that'll give us time to review a little bit, answer questions, and look at the project. So please bring your attention also to page 153. So at the bottom of page 153, there's a table there. And instead of using, I'll show you how to do this in Excel, but you can use this table for the problems that are in the book if you don't have Excel handy. So we're going to start off here and look at the top of page 149. And it says here we're looking at paychecks and 401k plans first. So it says Celeste has an annual salary of $36,000. Her company offers a 401k plan, but she's unsure how this investment would impact her net or take-home pay. She knows her income taxes are 15% of her pay, and that if she were to enroll, the company requires a minimum 401k contribution of $100 per month. So we're going to look at Celeste here, and she has an income of $36,000. So we want to know what her monthly pay is. So let's do that first. So if her annual income is $36,000, how much does she make each month? All right, good, $3,000. And how did you figure that out? Yeah, just take the yearly pay divided by 12. So $3,000 is how much she makes per month. And then so for this one, this is without investing. So she's not making any contributions. So the gross pay is still $3,000. And then it says, let's find out what the income taxes are. Well, the income taxes are 15%, right? So how are we going to figure that out? And you can either say it out loud or put it in the chat box, either way. All right, and most of you are putting 3,000 times it should be times 0.15. So 3,000 times 0.15 is going to be the amount of taxes. And it is $450. Thank you, Kayla and Kaylee and Ashley. $450. And so the take-home pay is just a subtraction piece now, 3,000 minus the 450. And what we're going to do is we're going to compare this take-home pay of $2,550 with what happens when Celeste actually gives a contribution to her 401k plan. So again, her monthly pay is $3,000. But now the gross pay minus contribution is going to be $2,900. And so the unique feature here is that the taxes are counted or calculated after the contribution. So the contribution is actually tax-free right now, and then on the 401k you get taxed on it when you take it out of retirement. So right now we're not going to pay the taxes on it. So we're only going to get taxed on $2,900. So we're going to take that 2,900 times the 0.15. Thank you, Pamela. That is $435, and the rest of you I see getting that in there. And so the take-home pay again is subtracting those two. $2,465. Okay, so take a look at these two numbers, the 2,550 and the 2,465, and think about that. Now, she's contributing $100 to her 401k plan, but if you look at her take-home pay, it's not $100 less, is it? How much less is it? How much less is the take-home in the second case than it is the first case? Thank you, Kendra. So $85. And again, you guys can use your voice instead of just doing this all in the chat, but it is an $85 difference. So let's answer these questions. I think we've already answered them. How much is Celeste saving in income taxes by investing $100? So look at these two values. How much less are her taxes? It looks like just $15 a month, right? And then how much less is the take-home pay? We already figured that out, that's $85. All right, super. So there's a little note here that says, note that because of the 15% of taxes that Celeste does not pay on the $100, her paycheck is not really reduced by $100. So that's good. That's good news. And then here's another reminder that taxes are applied to the 401k contributions when you withdraw them. So whenever your retirement age, I think it's like probably 72 by now, you can take your 401k out and you get taxed on it then instead of in today's taxation. And hopefully the taxes then are going to be less than what they are today. All right, so let me know what questions you have before we move on. It looks like all of you had those answers in the chat box before I had mine up on the screen, so it looks like we're doing pretty good. I need one question before we move on. So I see that you're in here, Becca. Welcome. All right, they're insisting they don't have any questions right now, so we'll find out in my emails later in the week. All right, so well, let's go ahead and move on. On page 150, we're going to take this and do a little more work with it. So now we're going to take Celeste and note that her human resource representative informs her that the company will match 50% of her 401k contributions. This inspires her to raise her 401k contribution to $150 each month and take advantage of the company's 50% matching offer. So let's go through these questions. How much will her take-home pay be with the higher investment? We're going to have to go through that chart again. Her gross pay is still the same. So now she's going to get taxed on $2,850. It looks like Kelsey already has the answer in there. Let's see if Kelsey is right. So the taxes on $2,850, again, we're going to do times 15%. And Pamela, there we go. Don't forget the cents on the end. So 427 and 50 cents. And then we're going to subtract those now again like we did previously. $2,422.50. All right, so it looks like those of you who had that, it looks like Kelsey had that in there already. Good job, Kelsey. All right. So let's look at these other ones that go along with this problem. It says, how much will Celeste contribute to the 401k annually? So she's contributing $150 each month. And again, help me out. She's going to multiply that by what number? 12. Good. And how much is that per year? It is $1,800. All right, it looks like Kendra has the fast fingers today. Thank you for getting that in there, Kendra. So letter C says, how much will the company contribute annually on her behalf? So remember, the company is going to contribute 50% of what she contributes. So Kaylee, how did you get that so quick? Or Kendra, either of you, how did you get that $900 so quickly? Okay, so you took the 800 divided by 2. Perfect. All right, so we could do that. There are several ways we could have figured that out. That's one way. Taking what what Celeste contributed and cutting it in half, because that's 50%. So another way is you could have found out how much the company was contributing each month and multiplied that by 12. So if Celeste is contributing 150, the company is contributing 75 times 12, and that's still $900. Very nice. So the next question says, how much money total will be invested into the account each year? So now we're looking at Celeste's contribution and the company's contribution. And Kayla, you're right, $2,700. Perfect. So now this is more of a quantitative question. It's asking us to do more than adding and subtracting. So it says, write a ratio that represents the company's annual contribution to the total amount invested annually. So the company's annual contribution to the total. So the company's contribution is 900, and the total is 2,700. And Kelsey, I love your answer because, so Kelsey wrote, they contribute 33% of the total amount. And if you look at this, remember that this is part to whole, and when we have part to whole ratios, we can write that as a percent. Otherwise, we wouldn't really want to put it as a percent. But since we have the part to whole ratio, we can write it as a percent and then complete that meaningful sentence. So we'll just use Kelsey's, most of what Kelsey wrote. We would say the company contributed about 33% of the total contribution to Celeste's 401k. That's a lot to write. So I'll write it here. The company contributed about, my gosh, what terrible handwriting, right? About 33% of the total contribution to Celeste's 401k. All right, so thank you, Kelsey, for putting that sentence together. And Pamela wants to know how we got the 33%. Okay, so we take this ratio. So Pam's question is right here, how do we get the 33%? Well, if you just straight divide this, you can do 900 divided by 2,700. And what I did was I reduced it, divided it by 10, divided by 10 again, and then divide each of those by 3, and we get, well, divide each of them by 9, I suppose, is how I got the 1/3. So if you take 1 and divide it by 3 in your calculator, you should get 3, you should get 0.3, and then the 3 is repeating. So 30% is actually a little bit different. Let me write this down. So 1/3 is actually 3/9. 30% is actually 3/10. So they're not the same. So this one is that 33 1/3%, or 33.33, and the one on the right is 30%. So they're slightly different. So 1/3 is this right here, 3/9, compared to 3/10, which is the 30%. Did that help, Pamela? All right. So letter G, I am not going to do this one right away. What I want you to do is I want you to find the answer to letter G, and then when you have an answer, don't put it in the chat box, but give me a hand raise. And I'll give you just a minute or so. All right, so since I only have about half of you with an answer so far, I'm going to give you another minute. All right, so let's see. I want to know, Sharon, how did you get your answer? Tell us what you did if you can. You can either unmute yourself or you can put it in the chat, either way. Okay. You can unmute yourself, Sharon. And then the rest of you, class, when Sharon tells us what she did, I want to know if anybody did anything different and got the same result. And we'll see what Sharon's result is too. Okay, Sharon, can you just unmute yourself and tell us? That would be easiest probably. Are you with me still, Sharon? Okay, I'm not. Oh, there we go. Okay, well, can somebody else? Sharon's having some trouble, so can somebody else tell us what they did? Who wants to volunteer what they did? Oh, thank you, Kendra. What did you do? All right, so Kendra multiplied that 108,000 by 0.33, and what did you get when you did that? 35,640. Okay. And did anybody do anything different? Because this is close to the answer, but it's not exactly the answer. So who did something different other than multiplying by 0.33? So Kayla says that she divided by 3 because the company provides 1/3. So what did you get when you did divided by 3? So divided by 3 looks like that. 36,000. And all right, did anybody do anything different besides multiply by 0.33 or divide by 3? All right, well, let me show you what we could have done also. We could have done 108,000 times 1/3, because remember, we found that ratio up here, and that's really what we're putting in there. And that's the same as dividing by 3, so you should get 36,000. And then another way you could have done this is you could have taken, remember the company contributed $900 a year, and you could have taken that times 40 years, and you also get 36,000. So if we're going to use the decimal, remember that 0.33 is close. It's really 0.33 repeating. So there's, many, many threes. And so if we just round to the hundredths place there, our answer is going to be not quite right, because 0.33 is not even the same as that. It's kind of like the 3/10. It's 33 hundredths. Okay? So either use the exact decimal when you divide, the 1 divided by the 3, or you can divide by 3 in this case. All right, perfect. So let's move on to the next little part here. It says using Excel to calculate earnings. And this starts on page 150, but then goes into page 151. So it says, thus far, we have only covered employee and employer contributions, but 401k savings plans are also interest-bearing accounts. Celeste's $150 monthly 401k savings are going into an account that earns, let's say, 2.99% interest annually. We can use Excel to forecast what Celeste's account balance will be for any number of years in the future. And so here we have the FV function, which is the future value function. So last week we talked about the PMT function, which is the payment function, the PV function, which is the present value function. Remember, the PMT was how much will your monthly payment be on the mortgage. The PV function was, if I know what monthly payment I can afford, how much would the value of the house be that I could borrow against, or the mortgage amount. And then the future value is, if I put this money in now at a certain interest rate, how much will it be worth a certain number of years down the road? And so again, we have the monthly interest rate, the number of deposits, and the deposit amount. So for Celeste, we're doing 0.0299, that's her 2.99%, but it's divided by 12 for the monthly, 12 months times 40 years. And then where did the 225 come from? Can someone tell me where the 225 came from? Yes, Kelsey, you're right. The 225 came from the 150 that Celeste puts in and the 75 that her company puts in. And so when we would type that into Excel, actually, let me do that. So I'm going to type that in. So equals, and then FV. Oops, let me put my F in there. FV. And then it was 0.0299 divided by 12, comma, 12 years times, or excuse me, 12 months times 40 years, comma, and then negative $225. And it says her account would be $207,868.17. So again, it looks like this. All right, and that's what it says down here in the next part of our reading. It says, remember to divide the annual interest rate by 12 to get the monthly interest rate, and don't forget to include any employer contributions with the monthly deposit amount. So pressing enter, we get that $207,868.17. So it says, how much more is in Celeste's account than what she invested? Remember that she invested, let's see, she invested $1,800 a year times 12 times 40 years. So how much is that, Kayla? It's 72,000. So Celeste, I'm going to actually put this over here. Celeste invested 72,000, and there's other ways we could have gotten that. So it wants to know how much more is in her account than what she invested. So we're going to take the 207,868.17 and subtract 72,000. And it looks like Kayla got 135,868.17, and that's what I got too. All right, good, Kendra. So number 5 says, let's consider what happens when Celeste increases her monthly contribution to $200. Based on the previous information, what will her company contribute? So now Celeste is going to put in $200 a month. Celeste, and the company is going to put in how much per month? 100. All right, and part B then asks us to put this into application. Assuming Celeste is depositing $200 into an account that pays 2.99% annually, and the company is contributing the amount determined in the problem above, find the account balance after 40 years. So you can find this in the table on page 153 as long as you know what to put in. So remember, this is the future value function. So we should put in, we have the 2.99%, so 0.0299, divided by 12, because we need to have that monthly, and then 12 months times 40 years. And then how much is going to go in this last spot? That negative $300, because it's going to be these two added together. And then when we put that in Excel, or if we look it up on the table on page 153, so I'm going to use my table on page 153, and it looks like it's in the bottom half on the left, and it is actually the bottom one on the left, isn't it? So $277,157.56. And if I put that into Excel, we would get the same result. So it says how much of this was deposited by Celeste and how much by the company. So Celeste, oh my goodness. So let's see, Celeste is depositing $200 a month times 12 months times 40 years. $96,000. Okay. And I'm reading the chat here. So Kayla says $96,000 by Celeste and $48,000 by the company. And again, remember the company is putting in half as much as Celeste, so we could do the 100 times 12 times 40, or we can just cut Celeste's in half. So the next question in your book says how much interest was earned on the account. It's not on the screen here, but to find the interest earned in the account, we could add these two together and then subtract it from the 277. Okay? All right, so the next problem set, I'm going to actually have you guys work in your groups, and it is number 2 on page 152, and it says Excel's FV function can also be used for other types of savings plans, such as 529 college savings plans, which are designed to encourage parents and grandparents to save for future college expenses. Tax savings vary by state, but Indiana residents can qualify for up to a $1,000 tax credit each year. Try the following example for college savings plan. And so number 2 here says the Smiths have just had a new baby daughter, Kennedy. They realized the importance of saving for college early, so they opened a 529 account for their daughter. They plan to save $50 each month until she turns 18 in an account earning 4% APR, annual percentage rate. So what I want you to do with your group is answer these 5 questions. Now, keep them, I think they disappear from the screen when I put you in your groups, but they're on page 152 in your book. So let me put you in your groups, and I'm probably going to have, let's see. I'm going to put you into 3 groups, and so there should be about 4 of you in each group. Okay? So let me do that here. So remember, if you can still hear me, you have to open the tab or go into the tab that gets you into your group. Unless you're on your phone, you might not be able to get in. So look for the new tab.
Put in. It's
All right, so I think I should have you all back in here now. And so generally you can't get into the group session if you're on your phone, from what I understand. I think that's always been the issue. So try to not be on your phone in class. I guess if you can get on a computer or a laptop or a tablet. I know it works with laptops and tablets, uh, so the pop-up screen can show up. But anyway, let's go ahead and move along here. So we wanted to know what Kennedy would type in. Okay, so I gotta answer Kiara's question first real quick. So Kiara, you have to make sure you unmute yourself. And Justina, there's a tab that shows up on the top of your screen, like a new tab would open. And generally it just puts you in there, but sometimes you have to actually open the tab to enter the room with your group. Okay, and then again, if you're on your phone, it generally won't let you into the group, from what I understand. All right, so what would Kennedy type in? She would type in equals FV, don't forget the equals sign, and then parentheses, and just like Kendra has in the chat, 0.04 divided by 12, so 4% monthly, and then 12 times 18 years times, that is, and then negative 50. Remember that negative is working for all three of these functions we're using in Excel from last week and this week, because it's representing that money is going out. And so here's what you're going to end up with. It gives you a positive value when you're done. And then we can look this up on the table for part B, and that is, let's see where that is. Is that in our table? 0.04 divided by 12, 12 times 18. And what did you guys find out? 10. Let's pop it into Excel and see. And then we can find it in the table also. But let's put it in here just so we can see. FV, and then we have 0.04 divided by 12. 12 times 18 years, and then that $50. And it is 15,779.62. And it's about midway down on the right-hand side of that chart that's on page 153. All right, there we go. So 15,779.62. And then how much will her parents have deposited? Well, they're depositing $50 times 12 years, or 12 months times 18 years, and that is $10,800. Thank you, Kelsey. And then how much interest will the account have earned? And all we're going to do is take these two values and subtract them. So $4,979.62. Perfect. So it says if her parents decide to increase the amount they saved each month to $100, what is the new balance? So we're just going to look on the chart, and it looks like the new balance is going to be $31,559 and 24 cents. So that $100, it about doubled it, didn't it? All right. So what I want to do next is, before I take the time to answer questions, I guess, is I want to share with you our project. And so we have a project. It's our financial project. And this will be due on the week, let's see, it looks like it'll be due April 13th, along with everything else. So our financial project, I just want to highlight some things in here. So it says we're going to be comparing future finances with someone who is not a college graduate and just a high school graduate. And we're making the income for the high school graduate $19,000. What we're going to do is we're going to use a website to look up what our income would be after our college graduation. So can someone give me what one of your majors is? I know I've asked you before, but can you give me what is a degree you're seeking? Like what major are you? Teaching. So teaching what grade level? Okay, let's just say second grade. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this, we're going to copy this link, and let's put it in here. And then what we can do is we have this chart of incomes in Indiana, and we can look up elementary, it looks like. So kinder is elementary, or we could look up surgical tech. Uh-oh, is my screen being shared with you? Oh my gosh. Sorry about that. What I forgot that when we come out of, so here are these values from previously, since that wouldn't be in the recording. Oh my goodness, you guys let me do all that without my screen being apparent to you. So what happens is when we come out of our groups, I have to re-show my screen, and I forgot. So there's that work from previously, but let me share this with you. So here's this website, and again, here's the project, and it's in your Canvas. Here's the link that I copied and pasted, and we're going to look up education, and then we'll look up elementary, it looks like. So let's just look along the side here and see if we can find elementary. Oh, so here's a kindergarten one. So I think that was part of what you wanted, right? Who was that? Kendra, maybe. So here's kindergarten. So we will click on kindergarten. And in the project, it says we want the median salary. So we're going to find the median salary. So right here, $54,230. And so in your project, that's what you'll use. So you'll have the high school person, and I'll show you this here. You'll have the high school salary, $19,000. And then if you're the kindergarten teacher, you would put that value that we just identified, $54,230. And then that's where you would start. That would be your base for your project. So this number is going to be different for everybody depending on what your major is, right? And then it asks you to do some reflections. I'm not going to read those to you, but we're going to do a housing comparison. So you're going to have to do a little bit of research, find out what the APR is for mortgages. You're going to have to tell me where you got that number from, what bank, and if you can give me the link, that would be great. And then you're going to use Excel to determine the largest value mortgage you can afford with the conditions that are given right up here. And then you're going to make some statements there as it says. And I don't know if I have the rubric uploaded in there, but if it's not in there, I'll put it in there tonight. And then you're going to do a retirement comparison. So you're looking at earning 5.75%, and then the different amounts here, 9% of your gross monthly income. So we don't have a fixed dollar amount here like we did in our examples of $50 or $100 or $200. Whatever the 9% of your gross monthly income, that's the value you're going to use. And then number 4 here wants to know, it says, what adjustments would you have to make to your investment to reach a balance of $1 million at retirement for the college graduate? And then reflect on your plan, and is it reasonable? Okay. So project checklist, again, make sure you check the rubric that I'll put up because I don't see it attached here. I'll put a rubric up here for grading this, and make sure you compare it with the checklist, the rubric together, so you can do awesome on it.